How you doing? This is DexFXWorld.com, and in this lesson we're going to talk about Forex brokers and you can handle the truth. Hi, my name is Max Farrow. Now I'm going to be your guide through this lesson of brokers and the different levels of brokers in the world of Forex. I've been trading for the markets for a pretty long time and have been very successful once I took the complicated and made it simple. Now, from previous lessons, you probably know a little bit about the foreign exchange and how it has come to be. But let me be the first to spell out how the orders get filled, where they go, and what to look out for, and how the whole thing kind of works. Before I get started, we are going to talk about, different things. And if this video leads you into getting into the Forex world, remember, there's risk in everything. So here's the disclaimer. We're going to use this for information for education and trade assistance only. And of course, all results may vary. All right, let's talk about the different levels of brokers. The biggest one, the top of the level ones, are the clearing brokers. These are the brokers like you hear about clearing houses and stuff like that in the world of stock exchanges. In the world of Forex, there are clearing brokers as well. These guys go in and they mop up all the extras and all the little things that they have to do to clear out the extra orders and the extra deals that are on the table when stop losses need to be hit, when things like that happen. Okay, these are the guys that are at the top of the food chain here when it comes to brokers. Now, there's banks and market makers, all these kind of things, and there's a lot more that are out there. I'm going to give you the straight vision path, and these are going to be the most ones that you're going to be using all the time. Okay, so this is the main ones to really watch out for, and a little bit difference of each one. There are little nuances in each one that I'm not going to cover in today, so if I miss something that you're normally used to hearing, don't sweat it. This is just the simple macro look of it. Okay, so we understand that there's clearing brokers. Underneath the clearing brokers, there's some prime brokers. These are the big guys. These are the guys that have to have a lot of money. Okay, I think it's like something like $30–40 million liquid to be able to cover all their clients' stuff as it comes out. These are the prime brokers. These are the people that, like the FXCMs and the Gain Capitals and Forex.com, MB Trading, those kind of guys. So these are the guys that have the big reputations. Now, amongst these prime brokers, there's different ways that they do business, okay? And each one of these becomes sort of a way of almost legitimizing, how well a company is going to treat you, whether it be through introduction brokers that you see down there, or if the company, you're going to be dealing with the company direct. It really depends on your relationship and what you're looking from it. We'll talk in later videos about relationships and introduction brokers. We're going to break them down completely. And each one of these markets too will have its own video series on how it works, the nuances, what to watch out, pros and cons, all that kind of stuff. So keep an eye out. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel below to get those videos when they come out as I'm doing them. Okay. All right. So let's really begin to talk about just the kind of tree that we have here. Underneath the prime brokers, there's different ways, like I said, that they do business. Some use market makers. These are people and businesses that actually go against you on the trade. So it's basically you versus them. There's straight through STP, straight through processing. And this is where the broker will deal directly with the interbank exchange at times. And we'll talk about that, of course. There is the electronic communication network. These are businesses that are deal directly and only with the interbank and don't care if you win or lose. Okay, like with market makers, you're dealing with them. You're basically going into bets with them, and in ECN, you're just being sent over to an inter-exchange, if you will, within the process. Now, each one of these types of companies can have what they call introduction brokers. These are basically affiliates on steroids, okay? These are like salesmen and companies that are licensed through the actual business themselves and have to be regulated, have to be watched, they have to pass all their security, they have to do all that kind of stuff. And there's some introduction brokers that do multiple brokers, multiple networks. So they may wear many hats along the way. So keep that in mind, okay? And you're going to learn a little bit more about what's to come within each one of these as we go further into this series. What does the regular stock market look like compared to the Forex market? Simply is like this, okay? And this is going to help me sort of roll into what the foreign exchange looks like, even though it's not really, quote unquote, an exchange, okay? you, as the trader, meet with a broker or go to a broker's website or talk to your broker themselves, the guy that's sitting in his office, and you tell him, all right, I need you to go to the exchange, or I need you to log in, and I want you to buy this particular stock. They then send him the information, and then he lets you know if you're winning or losing, or you can go to their website or whatever. Whatever that relationship, the 50 million ways that you can do it, that's how basically it works. In the world of the Forex market, okay, how it communicates, and in this process, it sort of looks like this sometimes, right? You can have multiple traders trading the market through the broker into the central exchange. But in the Forex market, it kind of looks like this, all right? Each individual bank that's out there that trades at different levels of their currency and trades the currency and keeps a price of the currency can talk to each other. And they set up this interbank market, if you will. Okay, it's not really an exchange, but it's a market. So they all talk to each other. They're all communicating to each other. They're all telling each other what each other's prices are and all that stuff. There might be some lag time in this process. You know, one bank might have the euro at one price, while the other one has it at a different price. So there's a lot of interworking within this network. Okay, and this is very important to know that this isn't just about the 7 banks that I have listed here. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. Okay, so basically, in the world of what we were just talking about having the different types of brokers, the broker that uses a market maker, and the market maker themselves, is basically versing you. So it's you versus the broker for the market maker. All right. Now, they don't actually attach themselves, okay, or submit your bid or their bid to the banks or to the interbank itself. Okay. They actually hold the note against you. So you say the Euro USD is going to be a sell. They'll say, nah, the Euro USD is going to be a buy, and they'll battle against you. Now, they'll watch the market to get the accurate price. They'll attach to, data from the market, from the interbank to let them know if they're winning or losing or what have you, okay? But at this particular time, if you win, they lose, okay? Vice versa. If you lose, they're winning. Now, even if you win, they still get some money, okay? They get some of this, what we call, sometimes they call it the slippage, right? No, when we're calling bid to the bid-ask spread, they get a couple ticks here and there. In our series for market makers we're going to do, I'll show you what slippage is. I'll show you what all that stuff is. All the little nasty things that market makers can do to kind of play games with you, right? We'll go through that list. It's going to be a long video. But the understanding is that they never really, and you never really, touch the actual market. Can you affect the market with a broker that's a market maker? And the answer is no, because they never touch the physical market. They don't actually put the money into the working of the exchange or to the interbank. It doesn't go into the bank. It doesn't go into the process. Basically, the money that you hold on their exchange, they give you, or their brokership, okay, they're holding in a bank. And sometimes not even a bank that's, it could be a conflict of interest in the whole process, right? So there's a lot of little inner workings with this process. Are market makers the worst? Nah, they've had a lot of regulations come against them, and they've had a lot of bad news, right? They have had a lot of bad press, of course, but there are still times that you would use a market maker compared to some of the other exchanges, and there's some nuances in there that we could talk about when we do that. But as for this video, we won't go into that. But just know that the market, it's basically the broker market maker, okay, against you at that particular time. Now, how the STPs work is in 2 fashions. One, they can do, okay, this is their prerogative, they can have an STP that goes straight to the interbank, right? Or they could do a market maker setup. Now, I'll be honest with you. I've heard from a few people. I've watched some videos out there. I've watched some networks out there that say that, market makers started to call themselves STP because they can attach to the exchange or to the interbank. They can attach to relationships they have in a bank with different banks and stuff that they have, but when they choose not to, okay? And that's really where this comes into a factor, is that sometimes a broker that's using an STP sort of protocol process can attach to a bank, but they may not do that. And I'll explain a little bit later why that is. Okay, but this is to actually get the information that you go through their system. They get it automatically from the bank or from the interbank network. Okay, and they have this relationship, so they can deliver the information back to you straight through. Okay, so there's no playing that game in between the process. Now, the last one on the list there is the broker that uses an ECN, the Electronic Communications Network. Now, this is the fastest one. This is, I see, is one of the best ones out of the process because the actual broker doesn't care if you win or lose. They get their money through fees. Okay, they get their money through fees in the process. These are the Forex.coms. These are the MBD trading companies. These are those kind of companies. But they deal directly with the intrabank. Okay, so it's all that information just goes straight to them and straight back and straight to you. Okay, so their exchange, their software, their process, how they deliver the trades to the customer and to their clients is neutral. Okay, at that particular point, from what I understand. Now, of course, each one of these setups can have an introduction broker, and this is where a particular person can hire on to a prime broker, okay, and they get a fee for bringing you to them and other kickbacks and other things that they get from that process. And again, in the in an introduction broker video series, I'll go through that more in that process and show you the pros and the cons and the inner workings of that world. It gets a little bit convoluted. So I want to take the complicated out of it, right? That's what I call it. You just take the complicated right out of it. In this process, you can have a relationship. Now, the good part about having a relationship with an introduction broker is that sometimes you're dealing directly with the owner of that introduction brokerage firm, okay? So, or with somebody very close to that, and you have somebody assigned to you to actually help you through this process of this complicated world. But then also sometimes you have somebody standing in between you and the actual truth of what is going on. So keep that in mind. Now, we'll break this down just a little bit further. The market makers, okay, most foreign exchanges, trading firms are market makers, and so are the banks that they deal with. Okay, sometimes those banks may not even put in a order into the interbank market because they're going to basically take the opposing side of whatever trade you are. Okay, so if you say a sell, they're going to say a buy, and they're going to hope you lose, right? A big thing on market makers is that what you really do have to be careful of is that you have to watch out for requoting. And this is where a market maker, when you apply for, if you put a stop loss down, or you want to take a particular price out, or maybe you want to take profit, or you want to take out of a trade, you want to short it, you want whatever, okay? And you go to do that, and they're like, oops, sorry, there's no market available, or we had something happen. Okay, this is called requoting. Would you take this price instead? This is called requoting. And you have to be very careful with that because it is the most apprehensible thing that you can actually do in this market, besides slipping in the market and jumping down 500 pips or 100 pips in 5 seconds and jumping out so it takes all your stop losses and all that stuff. If you see either one of these things, grab your money and run from that broker and hope that you can get your money out of whatever they have it in and get it back to you, okay? So this process does have some worth. Sometimes those companies have a little bit more leverage, a little bit more lenient rules on leverage. But again, you don't know what you don't know about that company. Where's the reputable side of it? And again, in the Market Makers video, I'll go into great detail on that process. Now, STP is an initiative that financial companies use to optimize the speed of which they process transactions. Okay, so they're going to process directly to the network, either through the bank or through the interbank, through that process. But they also have the availability, okay, that they don't want to offer it to the to the interbank or to their bank, okay, because they could do either one. They can also become a market maker. Now, like I said before, market makers, I feel, and I've talked to some people and I've watched some videos on this process. I've listened to people talk about how market makers sort of came up with this name for themselves later on. Like, yeah, I'm I'm not a prostitute. I'm an entertainment provider. That's it. That's the ticket. No, I'm sorry. That was pretty rude. But listen, that's what it comes down to. You know, they kind of changed the name of the process. They gave some opportunity to actually speeding up the process and get these transactions in front of the right people. But here's what I see sometimes, okay, and here's what I hear from a lot of people, is that STPs, okay, companies and prime brokers that are considered straight-through processing, will treat new clients, new traders, okay, as market make. They'll make the market for you. They will make the trade. They will go against you in every trade that you do. Okay, they'll fill the other side of the market. So if you say a sell, they say a buy for those new traders up to a certain point. Then once your performa gets to a certain level, either by time or by balance or by what have you, then they'll start sending you straight through the process, right? They'll send you to the interbank, and then they'll just take their fee off of the process for sending it over, okay? Because what I found out, and I talked to confidential informant from one of these companies, is that about 87% of all new accounts close out within 4 months. Now, he wasn't saying this to be like, man, this is deep throat, this is sick stuff. You know, he was saying this because he was giving me a word of warning or word of the wise that do my homework, you know, become more of it, and I'll release this video of us talking. I'm going to try to disguise who the company is and all that stuff, but it's actually him and I talking, and it's very profound. I'm sorry, that he would tell me this, but he was telling me for my own good that, hey, look, you better watch out because about 80% of our clients that start new accounts, they're closed out within 4 months. You know, but this says a lot for the market. This says a lot for the industry. Is like, oh my God, you know, could you imagine just starting out and trying to figure stuff out, and then within 4 months you're broke, or maybe you've lost your money that you've put in, you know, millions and millions and millions of dollars. But this is what happens in this world. You know, we get really angry as traders when things don't go our way. We look for faults, we look for issues, we look for scams, and God, this industry sucks with people that are scammy. And yes, there are a bunch of scam companies out there, but unfortunately, a lot of it does come back down to some of our own misfortune as traders. We're either ignorant or we can be stupid too as traders on making mistakes. We're greedy. We don't follow the rules. You definitely want to check back in some of our other videos here that I'm going to be doing here too, called the stop loss phenomena, right? And I'm gonna tell you how a stop loss works in that process in that video, and it's very powerful. And you'll see that that, you know, we've all been misinformed what a true stop loss is because it's been disguised for the longest time as something you know, evil. And if it doesn't meet, then the whole world's going to end. But you'll hear about that later. Now, the electronic communication network, this is the Forex.com, the mbtrading.com. These are just two companies. And remember, I'm not referring these people to you. I'm just telling you who they are. We as a network never, ever, ever, ever you'll see an affiliate link to any broker, any firm, any secondary source, anything except for our own stuff like Dex Signals, Dex Trader, Dex Indicators, those kind of stuff, only within our own network, our own process. We don't want to affiliatize ourselves with any broker because we want you to know that we're here to tell you the truth of this industry and give it to you for real. Okay. Now back to your scheduled program. The Electronic Communication Network, an ECN broker, is a Forex financial expert who uses electronic communication networks to provide its clients direct access to other participants in the currency markets. Okay, so that's to all the different banks. So it's all to those different banks. It's all to that process, and they don't really care of if you win or you're going to be losing. They don't care. They're not taking the market against you. They just want you to be going back and forth. So the more trades you're doing, if you're a day trader, they're making a bunch of money, right? Because they're making money on the process. So it doesn't really matter, if you win or lose to an ECN. They want to give you, they want you to do as many trades as possible, right? So they want you around. Whether or not, they got great relations everywhere else, I don't know, right? But even these guys have introduction brokers that can help you out to that process. My only recommendation out of all of this solution, that is, if you are going to get a brokered, Okay, if you have a ton of experience and you're on your own, ECN is the best way to go. You know, avoid the market makers, avoid STPs because they don't have to put it that way or put it directly through, and they can treat you as a market maker. You'll never know if they do anyway, so treat them all as they are. And if you need help, if you need a process, then get an IB, an introduction broker for that ECN to help you out. And they'll want to walk you through. Now, of course, your spread's different. They're going to get a cut of certain things. There's going to be a lot of, communication. Remember, they're not your best friend. All right, they're there to make you successful only in the fact of putting in the trades that you're going to do. It's not their fault if you lose. You got to keep all that stuff in mind. Okay. All right. So this will basically end the video for what we have today, and I hope you got some information. I hope I simplified some of it for you so you had an idea what it is, where everything happens in your market, okay, and in this Forex world. I want to thank you for taking the time to enjoy this video, and of course, as always, trade well. I'm Max Farrow, and this is DexFXWorld.com.